Hey, how you doing? I'm Adam Post, publisher of College of the Dead, publisher of more than 1,000 independent comic books through my publishing companies. And today, wow, what a piece of news. Marvel Comics pausing work, and I mean, that's a pencils down kind of thing, right? And release of 1/3 of its publishing line, pausing work, putting pencils down. What is this all about? All right, so this is from Newsarama. It's a pretty credible comic book news website as far as those things go. And it says here that Marvel Entertainment is immediately pausing work and the release of approximately 1/3 of its May and June titles. That's a lot of comics. So what the heck are they even doing about April, right? And what are they going to do after that? Well, let's get into it. Before we do, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Click the bell for notifications. Big help to me. Really appreciate it. Put your comments below too. Let me know what you think of this story. Tell me, man. I was expecting that Marvel would cut back. I didn't think they would cut back quite this much. A third. I mean, a third of its schedule. They don't know what's going on. That's the problem. And they sell to retail stores who also don't know what's going on through a distributor that doesn't know what's going on, Diamond Comics. So there's no way for Diamond to possibly know. But my expectations is that the industry has been behind a lot more than we really know and realize, that stores have been suffering, that there have been financial problems in comic stores, and potentially even with Diamond Comic Distributors. I mean, Diamond Comic Distributors has always been amazing. They've always paid every invoice I've ever sent to them and I've ever seen. I've never heard anything about Diamond not paying bills, and now they're refusing new product that they already pre-ordered and they're contractually obligated to receive. They are also letting their accounts put their orders, their customer accounts on hold, meaning, receiving a product and from what I've heard from a couple of retailers, even paying for product. So, I mean, I have no idea what's going on with Diamond, except it's very odd. And Diamond also recently announced that they're not paying for books that they already received. And just to keep in mind, Diamond not paying for books they already received. They're not talking about paying for comics in April. They're talking about making payments that were scheduled for April for comic books that they received most likely throughout the month of March. So there have been books that Diamond has been paid for by retailers. Those payments should be going out in April. Now, usually it's 30 days from when the books were received that they're paid for. So frankly, I don't know the intricacies of all of that, but I know a little bit about it, a little bit more than the average person, having done so many years of business in the comic book industry, selling through distributors and stores back when there was more than one distributor. So that takes it way back. And yeah, when a distributor is paying you in April, they're paying you in April for comics that were delivered a month prior, the beginning of March. So there's some stuff going on, man. There's some serious stuff going on, I'll tell you that much. So, wow. So a spokesman confirmed for Newsarama that, yes, they're pausing work on approximately 1/3 of its May and June titles. Oof. That is a lot. Okay. Maybe those are the ones that were incomplete. I don't know. Marvel did not provide details at this time as to which titles would be effective. How do they even select the 1/3? Like, well, these 1/3, they're no good. These 1/3 are too good. We're going to stop those. I don't, they obviously have some calculations, and it sounds like a pencils down moment where they were just like, listen, no further work on this work in progress. which is kind of an odd thing to do. It's not that much money. I'm surprised they did that. The decision to pause work on the affected titles, according to the spokesperson, is to help spread the amount of publishing product over the coming weeks and months. Help spread the amount of publishing product? Here's the thing. So I published a line of science fiction color comics in the mid-1990s. I published a lot of comics, but that's one of the things I published. We published about 50 issues. And if when you're publishing the issues, if you don't publish them as the retail stores plan to receive them, then you interrupt the flow of when customers anticipated and planned to buy them. So even though at some point we did a major crossover and there were a lot of extra titles. It was a crossover with our titles, but it was also a crossover with Jim Shooter's titles at Defiant Comics was his company at the time. So when I shipped my side of the crossover, I made a mistake. I shipped 2 months worth of comics, all in the same week. And I did it to get the big check. To be honest with you, I made a mistake. I was 25 at the time. What are you going to do? But what I did find out was, well, if you don't ship product on time to retail stores, it's not just good enough to ship it 2 weeks later or ship it all in a bunch or spread it out a certain way. It's not good enough because there were fans that were anticipating to buy those books or fans that had budget available for those books. All of this has been kind of thought through. The buying pattern has been thought through a couple of months prior. So it's not okay to just pause work on a third of the titles and then spread out comics, over a couple of months. Every situation is different with every retailer as well. So this is just basically wheels falling off the truck and pieces falling off the truck. This would be like, whoops, the fender just fell off. Oh, and the hood just flew off the top as we're driving it. So suffice it to say, after I did that crossover, we got really punished on future orders because a lot of the stuff didn't sell as well as retailers thought it was going to sell, with it being properly spaced out, like some every week, some each week, and then some the following week. 2 months worth of stuff, I think it was, in 1 week. And that was inconsiderate and it was dumb. And, I'm glad we got the books finished. But, it hurt retailers ultimately. So any retailers remember Triumphant Comics shipping their crossover all in 1 week? Sorry about that. That was not a good move. Never do a thing like that. I would never do that again. So that said, what else do we have here? The decision to pause the affected titles. Okay, we already said is going to spread the title. It's not going to spread anything. It's not going to work. It's not going to help. Asked when the publisher intends to resume publishing of the remaining 2/3 not affected, the Marvel spokesman declined to answer. They have no idea. They don't know. Marvel began telling creators involved with the suspended titles of this decision Friday, which would be today, April 3rd. And the company spokesman, spokesperson, reassured Newsarama that all talent will be paid for their work to date. This is exactly what Ethan Van Sciver and I were discussing on his live stream. Ethan has recommended, here he is again, saving freelancers. I believe it was last Friday, or maybe it was even 2 weeks ago. I can't recall. But in any event, Ethan was telling freelancers, listen, if you have assignments, bang out pages, spend the weekend. Doesn't matter what they look like. The publisher will pay on vouchers. You've got to just turn the work in. If you're working for a big company, get the work in. What he told them. What is this email saying now? What is this message saying when they're notified? It's saying pencils down. Any work that's in progress, stop it. Stop all work in progress for May and June is what the publisher Marvel is telling freelancers, because anything that was done, all talent will be paid for their work to date. So any other contracts that talent had for the week following, the month following, the page following, stop everything you're doing, whatever you've turned in, you'll be paid for. What's going to happen then with the rest of this 1/3 of the books that are not completed, which, by the way, is outrageous? They should have had this work done prior to that. What's going to happen is they're not going to accept the work. They're not going to tell them pencils down on whatever it is, New Mutants 42 and a half, or whatever the hell they're publishing now, Safe Space and the Wild Bunch, or whatever they're doing. Whatever is not complete is not going to be like a month later, like, okay, guys, let's finish it now. No, it's all getting destroyed. It's all getting shit canned as well as it should be. Because if it's not saleable, then what are you doing producing it? This is a whole new age of Marvel and all the major companies having to focus on producing books that are always very saleable. So they're like money in the bank. They're going to spread out their titles like it's not part of a universe. Like they're literally that unrelated, these titles, that they'll just sort of spread out their May and June work. What about July work? What about it? Are they going to be putting out new solicitations for July titles? I would doubt it. They have no idea what they're going to do, because now they have to retool everything like DC is thinking about, to just like, well, what would we publish as trade paperbacks through the bookstore trade? And we'll just lose money publishing there instead of losing money publishing for comic book stores. This is the complete dismantling and destruction of the direct market non-returnable system, which should be done. It should have been done a long time ago, because publishers are not producing comic books at a level of quality and with continuity with respect to stories, creative teams, editorial style, value and feel of what a Marvel comic book is supposed to be. I'm not talking about SJW stuff even. I'm just talking about the aesthetics. Even gorgeous, exciting aesthetics for something like Spider-Man, X-Men, whatever, when the Image guys, before they were Image guys, and they were changing the aesthetics of what it meant to be a Marvel comic, that was eventually going to end in tears, as it did, and not work out. And why didn't it work out? Because there was no company aesthetic. There was no company continuity. There was no way to give you Spider-Man with a consistent value. You know, it'd be like, well, let's just hire Tom Cruise or some other major star to be a cop in a cop show. And like, all right, well, we're going to continue the cop show now. We'll give it the same character, but instead of Tom Cruise, we'll put in whatever, Jerry Lewis or someone else that's just a completely different talent, a completely different person. Popular or not is not the point. The point is it's a completely different product when you change up the creative teams like this, when you change then further genders of characters and storylines and give no concern for continuity. They're gonna throw out the remaining 2/3 of these books that are approximately completed over the next 2 months that should have been completed already. If they're publishing them 4 weeks from now for May, it's ridiculous. So mostly it's probably June product rather than May, but they're not even publishing a list of what it is. It's going to be a hodgepodge of junk, but if they even publish it. This is really about them turning the machine off. Pencils down. Hashtag pencils down. What's not pencils down is we just started the script for College of the Dead 3. But this is my campaign for College of the Dead book 2. It's doing fantastic. We're almost at hardware, more better than we're at 150% of what we generated last time on College of the Dead book 1. And the campaign isn't even done. It is closing in 3 days, though, however. It is closing in 3 days. I'm going to put a link in the description. Go ahead and check out College of the Dead, my project, graduation day. My book is completely done. Pencils are up, and we're working on the next book, which will be released. This book's going to be released June 2020. It's in full color. It's 48 pages. As you can tell, it looks gorgeous. The writing is phenomenal. It's really, really good. It's in continuity. It's consistent with the prior book, and it's written really, very well. So you don't have to have the first book to enjoy the second one. That's the way comics are supposed to be written, so that you can read them, enjoy them, save them, know that you have something special, and kept in continuity and kept with the same aesthetic. It's the same creative team that did a great job on book 1, and there is a chance to get book 1. If you didn't have the opportunity to get book 1, you can get book 1 and book 2. And of course, there's a lot more to it. I'm going to give you a link in the description. Go ahead and check it out. That's my book. Again, be sure you subscribe to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me any comments on this story below about Marvel pausing the release of 1/3 of its work. It's all work in progress stuff. They're not telling you honestly. They should just be honest with people. That's what it is. It's pencils down. We are not going to send out. We're not going to complete and publish probably most of these books. But the stuff that's work in progress, we are by all means not going to be doing. What a mess. What a mess. No leadership over at Marvel. Never would have happened in Jim Shooter's days. They would have dealt with it. They would have talked about it. They would have figured it out somehow. and you would have been dying to get those comics as soon as they could start releasing them again. Not in this case. Now it's the opposite. Now people will not even care. They won't even know what titles, who knows, who cares. It's not important. The titles aren't precious anymore like they used to be. There's no continuity like they used to be. That said, support independent creators, support Comicsgate. We're doing something special. We're doing something great. I will see you again soon with another video. If I don't see you, I will miss you. And that was a rhyme. I do them all the time.